Hot take. I think Limbus should add 4 stars. I see it, you see it, Limbus is starting to show signs of power creep. With every ID, we get another ID that goes into someone else's retired and never likely to be used vault. And it's been like that for a while now. The bar for damage keeps going up, older IDs have slowly been phased out, and I want to say something about it. Because I know with some adjustments, every ID can have a place in the game. Yes, even you, Sinclair. As a business, it's pretty much in Project Moon's best interest to release content that'll make you want to buy more pools, so that they can make more money! More money! And as much as I think it sucks to have an ID that I think is really cool, be blown clean out the water by another ID that's just the same thing, but better in every way, you just gotta admit that it is what it is, bro. It's gonna happen. Like 7 Association Faust was already on borrowed time, and Mal Faust was at least merciful and gave her a very swift and painless death. But, as someone who still thinks 7 Association Faust is sick as fuck, and also doesn't like power creep, I think it's PM's job to give IDs like 7 Faust a reason to still even be in the game. Cause there's no way we're gonna pretend like the gap between this and this is anywhere near okay. Like, let's be so for real. No one in their right minds are gonna be using any 7 Association units when the Haisha pack are right there. Now, it's not like you can just nerf these units so that they're more balanced. People will riot. We've seen it happen twice already. Okay, well, I've seen it happen twice already. But what we can do is not pretend that IDs like 7 and Mal Faust are even in the same ballpark for starters. So I say, let's rip off the band-aid and officiate 4-star units. They're already in the game, and they're gonna be prank 'em, John. Prank 'em, John. Haha, you already know. They're already in the game, and they're gonna keep coming in the game. They're just gonna be disguised as 3 stars, so why even bother? After we rip off the band-aid, the second thing we gotta do is to give 4 stars a more or less consistent design that they'll be following. For example, currently 2 and 3 stars have slightly different use cases in mind. 2 stars tend to be a bit more ID dependent, a bit less damaging, but to make up for the lack of damage and their dependency, they usually come packaged with some pretty good supportive effects. Meanwhile, 3 stars tend to be a bit more special, either being a capstone unit that brings a faction together, or they're units with strong moves that allow them to be slotted in pretty much any comp as long as they share keywords. Now where 4-star units come in is when Project Moon starts to run out of ideas and says, fuck it, give them a Predator Cannon. Mal Faust. It's Mal Faust. Let's not sugarcoat it. It's Mal Faust. Like, honestly, how did this even make it past testing, dude? What? She can use her skill 3-2 twice in a single turn? 3 times with the Hong Glue ID? Oh, come on, let's be so for real. And thing is, we know that there's bound to be more Mal Faust in the future. Igorodia, Capricorn Soul, Manodon, they definitely cut it close in terms of being 4-star potential. Meanwhile, Mal Faust, minus 50 SP, arms and legs chopped off, blindfolded with a chains of torment attached to them, says fuck it, we skill 3-2 and just wins. Like, that throws the balance of the entire game out of whack. If they keep raising the bar of these so-called 3 stars like this, not only will a growing margin of the roster become obsolete, but Limbus will slowly start to experience the Oyo flu, where IDs keep getting stronger and stronger, and our opponents keep getting more and more HP and DR to keep up with the rising damage cap. Eventually, the HP creep will get to a point where we're stuck with either regularly dropping a couple bans on the best IDs or endlessly chasing these perfect 20 out of 20 unmatched RNG optimizations just to beat Steven, the secretary. And personally, I don't want to do either of those things just to beat Steven, the secretary. Now you might be thinking by now, well, what if we just made the game easier? Or you might also be thinking, wait, if raising the bar for power is a bad thing, then wouldn't adding 4 stars accelerate the power creep in the game? Well, yes, but only if you do it wrong. Short of reworking half the roster, I think another way to encourage people to use different IDs of different star levels would be by adding 2 new mechanics: Star Lock and Star Limit. Star Limit being the max amount of stars your team of IDs can have, and Star Lock restricting what tier of ID a certain student can be. So let's say, for example, we have a mission node that has a star limit of 30 and Ishmael has a 2-star lock. This means that Ishmael can only use her 2-star IDs, and your team comp can't have a bunch of 3 stars since 11 sinners times 3 plus 2 is 35 stars total, so you're gonna have to definitely start working with a few more 1 and 2 stars on this node in specific. Now, this method definitely comes with a few pros and cons that I can think of right off the top of my head. On the upside, this will force players to actually change up their team comps and try new things, rather than sticking with the same 2 IDs or defaulting to syncing for everything. Additionally, more people will be more familiar with other playstyles and realize, hey, some of the 1 and 2 stars actually aren't half bad. But, most importantly above all those, is the fact that the devs wouldn't need to add an extra 0 to enemy or boss HP to make it challenging, or feel the need to add a whole bunch of red coins to attacks to make it difficult. Because at that point, considering your restrictions, the damage ceiling should be relative to where it should be. You shouldn't be hitting no insane numbers with Miss 4-star Malfaust over here. I think, and this is like a perfect world I'm thinking of right here, I think it just leaves less of a need to make encounters frustrating in the worst ways possible, to say the least. But on the downside, it would be very, very frustrating to have a really cool 4-star Otis ID that you just can't use because the mission says nah. There's also the issue of gameplay equals lore that I've seen around. I don't know how accurate that is, but it might be a bit hard to justify Dante's limitation in any sort of satisfying way. But most importantly above all those, is the fact that a lot of people just don't like being challenged. They don't like being challenged. They like being strong as shit and seeing some big ass numbers. Why else do you think Warframe and getting pissed are so popular? It's because people find doing 2 billion damage, or not having a dad, very fun. And you already know, if people aren't having fun, they probably aren't spending money, so yeah, we can have that. Now, do I want to see 4 stars in the game? No, I'd rather have the great balance patch hit us and have everything be redesigned. But are we more likely to see something on par 4 stars in the future? Well, we're already looking at update 5 on Eagles being messed with, so I wouldn't completely throw away the idea of having 4 stars being a thing just yet. Plus, the chance of having more Malfaust pop up, it would pretty much be the same thing as having 4 stars pop up in the game officially. Well, that's it for the video. I could honestly go into more detail about how I would go about adding 4 stars into the game, but that would be editing time that I don't want to use, so I'll just leave it at this for now. Also, I could go into how I think we should be adding 5 stars into the game, eventually at least, but that would also be quite a controversial topic. I'm pretty sure this one's already controversial as it is. But that aside, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you want to see more of me, be sure to follow my socials. And if you want to see when I stream every once in a while, like once in a blue moon, follow me on Twitch. But with that being said, I'm Emin Pluto, and I'll be sure to see y'all in the next one. Bye bye.